Radhe Radhe everyone. Welcome to our daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Nitinji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Mitawani ji. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Gayatri ji and Padmini ji, for a wonderful session. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day and had a great day. We shall get started. I think it's about time. So we'll get started. So we've been discussing the topic of Bhavs, and the next progression of Bhav is Vatsalya Bhav is what we will be discussing today. So let's get started with our opening prayers, and then we will get deeper into the topic of our discussion today. Let me share my screen. All right. Is my audio video good? All right.
Yes, Nitinji.
Wonderful. All right. Good morning, good evening again. Once again, everyone. So let's do our opening prayers and then we'll get started. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening again. Once again, let's get started. So we are on Shloka 4.3. It's related to Sakhya Bhav. However, we are going deeper into each one of those bhavs. We have covered starting with Shant Bhav, then we progressed into the Sakha, what was the second bhav? Dasya Bhav, and then the Sakhya Bhav, and today we are doing Vatsalya Bhav, and then next week we are going to do the Madhurya Bhav, the topmost bhav. So like always, I'm going to recite the shloka, and then what we can do is whoever puts on their camera, they get the right of first privilege. We'll pick up maybe top 5 or 6 candidates, and we'll give some allowance for interaction. So we'll pick up maybe 5 or 6, not more than that, so that we can wrap it up on time. Okay, Zoom has started charging us $10 per minute for every extra minute that we spend. So we'll try to wrap it up on time today. All right, so let's get started. I'll recite the shloka, and then Amritamani ji, you can pick up the participants who want to recite today as well. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttamam. Over to you, Amritamani ji.
Yes, Nitinji. Okay. Those are Ashutoshi, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Sa evayam maya tedya yogaha proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me shakha cheti rahasyam hetuduttamam.
Wonderful, very nice, Ashutoshi. Radhe Radhe.
Rahul ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Sa evayam maya tedya yogaha proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hai taduttamam.
Wonderful, very nice, Rahul ji. Beautiful.
I'll give it to Neeta ji. Neeta Mehta ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Neeta ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Sa evayam maya tedyam yoga prutta puratanaha bhakto asi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttamam.
Wonderful, very nice, Neeta ji.
Udayji,
Radhe
please go
Radhe.
ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे शका चेति रहस्यं ह्येतदुत्तमम्.
Very nice, Radhe Radhe. All right, maybe two more and then we'll get started.
Shyamji, you can go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Shyamji.
स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं ह्येतद् उत्तमम्. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice, Shyamji. Your audio sometimes drags.
Yeah,
So-
I know. So sorry for that.
Yeah, no worries. So it seems like you are saying it, elongated. So, but yeah, very nicely recited. Thank you very much. Last one, Amritawari ji, who's the lucky one today?
Yeah, I'll give it to Surendraji because though he's not turned his camera,
Okay.
I'll give him because yeah. Surendraji, you can unmute yourself, please.
I can't unmute. Yeah, Radhe Radhe, thank you.
Radhe Radhe, Surendraji.
Video is also on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very nice. Wonderful.
Sa evayam maya tedya yogaha proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttamam. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful. Thank you, Surendraji.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe we can take one more. I can see video and then we'll get started. See, we want to give some allowance for interaction towards the end, and we'll try to wrap it up on time. Plus minus 300 seconds is allowed, and Zoom is going to charge us $20 per minute is what I've heard. So we need to be clock on time starting today. So let's take maybe one more and then we'll get started.
I like to do it, Nitinji. Can I?
Yes, please. And then, okay, two more. Rupaji also, I see her on camera and she's an enthusiast on that. So let's do two more and then we'll get started.
Okay, I'll give her the go. You go
No,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I'll do it next.
No.
Both of you can
No,
do.
you can
Both-
do it,
Thank you.
Amritwaniji.
स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं ह्येतदुत्तमम्.
Wonderful. All right, Rupaji, you can go as well and then we'll get
Yeah,
started.
Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
स एवायां मया तेद्य योगप्रोक्त पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं ह्येतदुत्तमम्.
Wonderful. So let's get started.
Radhe
So
Radhe.
Lord, thank you, Radhe Radhe. So Lord Krishna is saying the same ancient knowledge of yoga, which is the supreme secret, I am today revealing unto you because you are my friend as well as my devotee, who can understand this transcendental wisdom. So yesterday we spoke about the Sakhya Bhav in a little bit of detail. Today we are going to introduce the next Bhav, which is Vatsalya Bhav. However, before we start that, one of the, a lot of participants had asked this question about Sudama, Vibhishan, and even Sugriv for that matter. So I thought we will quickly touch upon that before we get into that topic. So let's look at Vatsalya Bhav, continuing with that. So Krishna and Sudama story. It's a beautiful story in Bhagavatam. I'll narrate it quickly though. So Sudama and Krishna's story is very heart-melting story. It's given in Bhagavatam. They also had a friendly relationship. In fact, Sudama, he became very poor. They studied under the same guru. And as the story goes, Sudama and Krishna, in those days, it was a tradition that, the Shishyas or the disciples would serve the Guru by getting the firewood from the forest for cutting wood. So they were in the forest for cutting wood, both Krishna and Sudama. And that was the, system of ancient Guru Seva. So the Guruma had given Sudama a handful. He was the older one. So he was given some handful of chickpeas. So he tied it in a bundle and gave it to this boy and said, it might be raining. And if you get cold and hungry, help yourself. As a luck would have it, it actually started raining. So they climbed a tree, both of them, and they said they will stay there until the rain stops. So Sudama actually, he reached the highest branch, and they then, the Balabhadra and Krishna, they were they were lower down. Sudama became hungry. It was cold, and he became hungry, and he started to eat the chickpeas. And then when Krishna heard, he said, "You are eating something alone to yourself." He said, "No, no, no, I'm not eating. It's because of the cold. My teeth are chattering. You know how it happens. Not so much here in US, but in India it used to happen, especially where I used to stay." So, and Sudama ate all the chickpeas all by himself. And it is said that because of the law of karma, because he kept it to himself, he ended up becoming very poor later on in life. And that's why it's important to share and give rather than holding things to yourself. So this was the story, but eventually the Krishna, he hid it from Krishna, and eventually he had to approach Krishna. His mother, on his wife's behest, he went to Krishna because they were extremely poor. And with a lot of reluctance, he went there, and he was with torn clothes. His feet were bruised, and he had a thorn in his feet. And he walked up to Krishna very reluctantly. And Krishna, when he saw him, he just embraced him. In fact, Krishna was pricked by a similar kind of a thorn as well. That is how Vatsalya Krishna is. He cannot tolerate, take on, if his devotee who's approaching him for help gets troubled. And then he kept on asking him. He embraced him and washed his feet by himself. As you can see in the picture, Krishna is washing the feet of his friend, and then kept on asking him, "What is my sister-in-law has given you?" And he was very hesitant. He was carrying some Rice Krispies, because it was a tradition. You don't go empty-handed to anybody's house. But he could not, bring himself to get that out. But Krishna somehow got it when he was sleeping, and he actually, you know, turned everything up, not upside down, but made him very opulent just after he had his first. And that is how Krishna goes, right? And Sudama did not know. In fact, he was so hesitant, he did not even ask Krishna. But when he came back home, he saw things had completely changed. He had a big palace, and so much of opulence, and his wife and all. But it's said that Sudama, despite having all that, he continued to live a life like of austerity, like he was previously. It's not that he started to enjoy all that stuff. So point here being, when God actually makes you your friend, accepts you as your friend, you can see how much he can actually give you back. So it's only a matter of us approaching, and then God is more than willing to make us malamal, give whatever he has to give. There are a couple of stories in Ramayana as well. If we look at the Sugriv, now Sugriv approached Ram with a self-interest. His devotion was not perfect, but Ram accepted him as a friend and actually made him the king. Now Sugriv, he did not have trust in Ram to begin with. He actually had tested Ram, that does he even have the skill to defeat Bali? So he did not trust him. And but anyway, for his self-interest, he approached Ram, and then Ram accepted him as a friend and actually made him the king of Kishkinda. And when his time came to fulfill his promise to find Mother Sita, he started enjoying everything. So in fact, when Bali was killed, Sugriv told Ram, "What am I going to do with this kingdom? Okay, just take me along with you." He felt so much of remorse and despair, like we experience. But Ram told him very calmly. If you look back in the Ramayana, I just love that part. So Ram told him, "Mitra, it is Kshanik Viragya that you are feeling right now. Go and do, serving your people. You are a king now." And within a span of few months, Sugriv had forgotten all that. He was just enjoying his life and all that stuff until Lakshman came to remind him. But anyways, even despite his imperfections, Ram accepted him as his friend because he approached him. And that is his rule. Whoever approaches him, takes refuge in his shelter, he takes care of them. That is how God is. Another example of that is of Vibhishan, who approached Lord Ram, and he actually told Lord Ram that, "I have a tamasic body, tamasic pravrittis, because of the lineage that I'm born in." And but he chose Lord Ram instead of falling to the feet of Ravan. He said Ram would rather fall on the feet of Lord Ram, and Lord Ram accepted him. And he told him, he addressed him as Lankesh, that I'm going to make you the king of Lanka. And Sugriv again got confused. He said, okay, what if Ravan is the king? What if he takes shelter in your refuge? He said, if he does that, then I'm going to give him my Raj in Ayodhya. So that is how much over and beyond God is willing to go, provided we come to him and seek his shelter. So that is the rule of God. So anyway, I thought we'll touch upon these as well, because yesterday some people mentioned it in attendance tracker about, how about Sudama or how about Vibhishan. So I thought we'll briefly touch upon it. All right, so let's get into our topic. So we were in Shant Bhav, we stepped it up to Dasya, Sakhya, and today we are going to talk about Vatsalya Bhav. As you see, the intimacy and Bhav is directly proportional to proximity. So the proximity is decreasing now, increasing rather, I should say, not decreasing. The distance is decreasing, proximity is increasing, and so is Bhav and intimacy, as you can see in the graph. So we started off with Shant Bhav, came to Dasya Bhav, Sakhya Bhav, and today it's the Vatsalya Bhav is what we are going to discuss. That is what will be the topic of our discussion today. All right, so in Vatsalya Bhav, as you can see, baby Krishna is cuddled up by Mother Yashoda. So Lord Krishna is pampered with extreme parental love, and that is the chief trait of Vatsalya Bhav. Right? Like a mother-child relationship, we can see, or father-child relationship. Vatsalya means parental relationship is the basis of this bhav. Now, Maharajji in his Radha Govind Giri, he has said, Vatsalya mein hai nishtha. I will not sing it completely. Govind Radhe Seva Vishrambha Mamta Batade. So in 5606, he says that in this particular bhav, you have nishtha, right? We have gone through that levels of bhav, and Seva Vishram Mamta Batade. So we'll get deeper into that concept. So let's continue here. So in the bliss that Nanda Baba experiences when Sri Krishna sits in his lap, one cannot imagine it. So just think of it this way. And even the mother Shri Yashoda, the state that she feels that bliss when she feeds him is something which cannot be expressed in words. Now just in order to get a semblance of it, think of it, how much bliss or kind of thrill we experience when the kids are small and we feed them or we nurture them or take care of them. Now in this case, God has descended down with the purpose of giving bliss, Vatsalya bliss, to his mother. So you can only imagine what is the possibility, what is the potential of that bliss. We can't understand that. Okay, it is beyond words or our comprehension, what kind of bliss God is capable of giving when he's actually come for that purpose only. We as human feel that bliss in intermittently or not sporadically, I should say. But when God, who has actually come with the purpose of giving bliss to his mother or to his friends or to his das, then one can only imagine how intoxicating it must be. So that is what Vatsalya Bhav, the potential of Vatsalya Bhav, the bliss potential of Vatsalya Bhav is. Now it said it is so sweet that they never want to know that their son is God. So in Brajras, like we said, it started with Dasya Bhav. The Aishwarya Shakti of God is not allowed to come there in Braj. And even when his Aishwarya Shakti, being his subservient to God, when it sees its master in trouble, like Yashoda wielding stick, it secretly serves him, because God is actually feeling scared at that point. So he has the ability to forget himself and make the devotee forget as well. That is when the ras of that Leela multiplies. If God knows I am God and mother knows he's God, then there's no fun. It's like there's no point in putting on that act. So God makes them forget. But then even after that, the Aishwarya Shakti secretly serves its master. So that's why Yashoda, she saw that entire universe in his mouth, and she could in fact see herself also watching Krishna in that particular Leela inside his mouth. But then that thing is forgotten. God, through his Yogamaya power, makes them forget. So, and even when Lord Krishna took birth, it's not a normal birth. It is said they descend, right? So when he actually came in front of Devaki in his four-armed form, Narayan form, Devaki said, looking at this, I don't get that Vatsalya Bhav, that you are a baby. I just feel like reciting Vishnu Sahasranama or something like that. So why don't you, I cannot really relate to you as a baby. So he came in his two-armed baby form at that point. And that is what enables the bliss to the fullest. And there's a Leela where Yashoda, once she adorned baby Krishna in beautiful clothes and tiny ornaments. In fact, she would decorate him. In fact, it is said Lord Krishna, whenever he would step out of his house, he would present his best version, not a messy clothes or tardy hair. He will put a peacock feather and nicely tucked flute, and even rotis were nicely tucked in, and he will look adorable. So the lesson for us is we should not be messy and tardy. Whenever we present ourselves to the world, we should present our best version as often and as best as possible. So anyways, he was beautifully decorated, and she just stepped out for a bit, and when she came back, she saw him playing in murk, water with dirt, like kids do. And Krishna was no different. So what happens after that? She got extremely upset, and scolding her child, she said, it's taken from Krishna Amrit. What she said was, I'm not going to recite it, that Kana, I bathed you, adorned you with nice clothes, with no time, and you have become dirty again, playing in the murk. It seems you were a pig in your past life. Okay, that's how she scolded him. So Lord Krishna smiled on this particular comment from mother, and he said, yes, Maya, you are right. I have taken a Shukra avatar as well. So he was actually born as a Shukra as well, if you know that. So he said yes. In fact, there's another story Sri Maharaj tells where, like we do the lullabies, the sleep time stories, Yashoda Maya would recite stories to Lord Krishna to put him to sleep. And on one of those days, she started reciting the story of Lord Ram to Lord Krishna. So as you know, it happened in Dwapar, Krishna avatar, and Treta had already happened. So they already had a reference of Ramayana at that time, even at Yashoda Maya and Krishna's time. So she started reciting that Ram Bhagwan's story to Krishna. And she said, so that I am aware you have not gone to sleep, just keep on acknowledging it by saying, like we do that, right? Acknowledging, yes, I've understood, I've understood. So she kept on reciting it, and she was telling, and then Ram went to forest, and he was saying, and then that deer came, he said, and then he said the Ravan came, he said, and then he said Ravan took Sita and started flying away. The moment he heard that, he said, Lakshman, where is my Dhanush Ban? Okay, he forgot because he's himself Ram, right? And Yashoda Maya was zapped. What is he saying here? And then he would make her forget. So those kind of leelas he would do from time to time, but then he would make her forget. So anyways, that is the Vatsalya Bhav. So you can imagine the kind of bliss Krishna would give him. He'll throw tantrums, he'll do all kind of things, and just multiply the ras for Mother Yashoda. Now, when like it is said in our scriptures that the fortune of such devotees cannot be fathomed. It's beyond our comprehension, the kind of bliss that God is capable of giving when he's actually decided, I'm going to give it to them. And Yashoda was fed up of listening to the complaints of Lord Krishna, and once she tied him to a mortar, as you can see that. And the tears, they started rolling down his cheeks, and he was begging Maya to release him. And then Devatas and even Narad Muni, he saw him crying, Lord Krishna crying in a pitiable state like a baby would cry. So he thinks, Naradji, and then he's admiring the fortune of Yashoda Maya. She's actually tied the supreme God, the ultimate father, who cannot, nobody can catch them basically. In fact, it is said in this particular Leela, it was whenever she was trying to tie him, it was falling short of two fingers. And then one finger is basically your effort, and second finger is God's grace. I mean, there are multiple commentaries around it. Anyways, the point here being, she was unable to until finally he decided, all right, let me fulfill my mother's desire. Because it is said, God, big sadhaks, big yogis, they keep on chasing God, and God does not enter their samadhis. It's not that you bring your hand and you catch God. No, it's not so easy. And Sheshoda is not only catching him, she's tying him up and wielding stick, and he's crying completely at his mercy. So when Naradji sees that, the saints who actually understand the gravity of this Leela, let's see what Naradji says here. So Naradji says that who can be more blessed saint on this earth than Mother Yashoda herself? She has tied Krishna to a mortar, and let alone Sri Krishna, even his name is so potent that it grants liberation to the individual souls, that Sri Krishna is crying and begging Maya to release him. So saints, Brahmaji and all, they can only envy when God does these kind of leelas. In fact, Maharajji has written a beautiful bhajan, which lines goes like this. It is actually more, some of it is Vatsalya and some of it is Madhurya Bhav, where he says, Nahi jat samadhin jogin te nachat ta thei. So basically the person who does not enter, the samadhis, the meditation of big yogis who have been performing austerities and meditations for thousands of years, he does not enter their samadhis. Okay, but the same Lord is dancing to the tune of Gopis when they are offering him that chach or for that butter. So the point here is to understand is that it is love that can enslave God, nothing else. If you think you are going to do austerities, tapasyas, meditations, all those kind of things, they are not sufficient. The only thing that can enslave God is love, pure love. That love can come in form of dasya bhav, that love can come in form of shant bhav, that love can come in form of sakha bhav, like we saw in the story of Sudama. And then when that love comes in form of Vatsalya Bhav or Madhurya words, God is enslaved. That is his rule. Enslaved means you can actually make him dance to your tunes. But to enslave God, you first have to prove you are willing to become his slave as well. That pure love has to be there. Then he is going to become our slave. So that is the concept here. So anyways, Lord Krishna is crying and begging, and even Shukadev Paramhans, if you look at it, Bhagavatam, this is taken from Bhagavatam, he says that the grace attained by Yashoda is not accessible, even to the son of Sri Krishna, Brahma. The most loved Shankar at an internal consort Mahalakshmi, the one who always resides on his chest, the Shri Vatsa sign. Nobody has that privilege that Yashoda Maya is having. Okay, when Brahma, Shankar, Vishnu, Lakshmi, his own wife, who resides in his heart, they also don't get that privilege, the privilege that Yashoda Maya is getting. So they are able to appreciate that because they understand who God is and how difficult it is to get that privilege from God, because it takes a lot of purity and a lot of devotion to get to that stature. Basically, it's not something that we can get on demand. Okay, now God become my son, and Yashoda Maya is getting that seat. In fact, it was asked to God, I think Naradji or somebody asked to God, that Yashoda Maya, she went to Golok, and for that matter even Putana, who had come with a desire to kill God. She had come to kill God, she feeded him, right, and with poison, so that Krishna is killed. She was sent by Kans. And Krishna's rule is that whoever is killed by him goes to his abode only. So I think Naradji or some saint had asked Lord Krishna that you gave Golok to Mother Yashoda and you gave Golok to Putana as well. What was the difference? One was your mother and other actually came with an intent to kill you. So what is the difference here? He said, even Putana, she actually fed me. Right? So my rule is whoever approaches me with whatever wish, right? They approach him, I have to give them my, but with Mother Yashoda, the difference is that I will be eternally indebted to her. Now God is indebted to you. Can you imagine that? The supreme master of this universe, is saying that I'm indebted to you. Nobody can have a bigger fortune than that. So that is what he said. By the way, Putna, she was Ratnamala in her previous life. Bhagavatam has that story, who was, I think, the wife of Bali. And when Vaman Avatar happened, it was such a cute little boy who came to that yagya to actually disrupt that yagya in Vaman Avatar. And King Bali was a big dani. Okay, he would give away things in charity. So in order to do that, he asked Vaman that, what can I give you, Vaman Balak? So when Ratnamala saw this Vaman little baby, she had maternal affection towards him. So she thought how nice it would be if I could have a kid like him. So God being God, when you get attracted to him, normal people do not get attracted to him. But if you do, he says Tathastu. So that wish was granted to her. However, when Vaman Avatar was asked for something King Bali had asked for, he asked for 3 steps of land. And then he became so big that he covered the entire universes in 2 steps. And then he said, where do I keep my 3rd step? And Bali said, you can keep it on me. So when he did that, Ratnamala said, if I had this kind of a baby, I would kill him. So God said, Tathastu. Both Tathastu were done, and then she came as Putna. He gave her the privilege to feed, take milk from her breast, and at the same time, he also gave Tathastu to her that, okay, that wish where she wanted to kill him was granted, and both were fulfilled in one shot. So when God comes, he does all the work in one shot. So many things he does. Like when you go to a market, if you have to get a rasgulla, or let's say you have to do some shopping, and the third thing, you will not do one time, you will go and then you'll come back, then second time you'll go come back, you'll do all the things in one shot. So similarly, when God descends in his leelas, a lot of things he does in one shot only. So anyways, that was a quick digression I took from that. So Vatsalya Bhav, getting to that. So God says, I'm eternally indebted to Mother Yashoda. That's what he says, because she took care of him and she nurtured him and loved him like a baby. Furthermore, devotees with this bhav, now they can attain the highest level of anurag bhakti. Yesterday we looked at it, the graph, we will revisit that in Sakhya bhav you can go up to rag bhakti. Now you can go up to anurag bhakti, and that to the peak of anurag bhakti and not beyond. It is capped at anurag bhakti, Vatsalya bhav. That is why Mother Yashoda does not get entry into Maharas, because anurag bhakti has a cap. Why? We will get into that a little later. Now, Vatsalya, again, Maharajji's Radha Govind Geet, it explains beautifully. Vatsalya bhav walon ko Govind Radhe bhakti anurag ant tak pahuncha de. That means the peak of anurag bhakti is where Vatsalya bhav can actually take you with regards to the grades of bhakti that we spoke about. Let's look at those as well. Just to refresh, so we started with Shant Bhav, which takes us to Prema Bhakti, not beyond that. And beyond Prema Bhakti goes Sneha Bhakti, Man Bhakti, Pranay Bhakti, Raga Bhakti, Anurag Bhakti, Mahabhav Bhakti, and then we saw the Dasya Bhav takes us to Raga Bhakti. And then Vatsalya Bhav, as you can see, takes us to Anurag Bhakti, that to the peak of it. That is how far it goes. And they are not ordinary. And bear in mind, we are talking about stages of devotion and bliss after God realization. These are not the states of sadhan bhakti. These are the states of bhakti once you have realized God already. So they are not ordinary blisses that we are talking about. And bear in mind, this also goes beyond the bliss of Brahmanand, which is the bliss of moksha. That has already been discarded by these people. So it goes beyond that. We'll talk about those abodes as well. The multiverses, there's a Birja river. Beyond Birja river is Parvyom Lok, and in those Parvyom Lok, you have all these lokas, Saket Lok, Golok, Shiv Lok, Devi Lok, and all. What we are talking about is those lokas. Prema Bhakti takes you to Vaikunt, but the Braj Ras is not there. And from Dasya Bhav onward, then you start getting the personal bliss of God. Like Hanumanji, he would be in Saket Lok. Kaushalya mother, we'll talk a little bit about Kekai as well. And Vatsalya Bhav, then you get personal association of God. And then whoever is in Krishna, perfect their devotion in Krishna Prem, they go to Golok, the topmost. And within that also there are different levels that we are discussing today. All right, so let's continue. Now, if we look at it, obviously the question comes that who are these souls who get to participate in God's avatars and leelas? Maybe a quick tour will take. Anybody who wants to say anything about it before we get into that, because it's a topic in itself, so we'll spend a bit of time on that. Anybody who knows who are these privileged, extremely fortunate souls who get to participate in God's avatars and leelas?
Swati ji, I see your hand raised. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Those who can participate, those are all Mahapurush. Like in last previous unke janma mein, they are all Mahapurush. They only can participate, or they are they are residing with them in the Golok. Like they are the person who take part, and then they fulfill his all leelas and all. Like Ravan was his Jai Vijay, and they say they can take part from their own like क्या बोलते हैं जो उनके बहुत करीब के वहां पे रहते हैं ऑलरेडी उनके साथ. They only can
Parikar
Parikar. Yeah, they can only be participate in the leela. Yeah. I can say one more thing.
Yes, please.
Yeah, just now you told me the story of this Bali, that she was not his wife, she was the daughter. And when she saw this Vaman, Vaman was so small, like kid, she felt like Vatsalya Bhav, that he's so small, like baby, I want to feed him my milk. And वो feel उसको जब आया कि like नहीं मुझे इसको मेरा बच्चा की तरह मुझे इसको feed करना है. And she was also Mahapurush, so God granted wish that okay, I'll give you the chance to feed me in the next janma, like Putna she became, and then she fed him the milk because she got that bhav in that small baby feeling in that Vaman avatar.
She was sister. Ratnamala was sister. Yeah, thanks for that correction. Yeah. And in fact, it is said that thank you so much, Swati ji. Very nice, beautiful points. In fact, it is said when actually Krishna sucked the life airs out of her, just because Krishna touched her, when she was actually broken down because she was a huge demon, right? She actually came into her actual being, and when she was burnt, the whole Braj actually started, it was like a sandalwood is being burnt. That is how God's touch can be. So thank you for bringing that Leela's here as well. Yes, I can see one more hand. We can quickly hear and then move forward because we'll get into the technicalities, a little bit of technicality around it. Who are these souls? And are they same as Jivatmas or are they different? So we'll spend a little bit of time on that, graph or the chart basically around that. Do we have any more hands raised?
Yes, we have Annapurna ji. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I think, could it be the Gopis, three types of Gopis, one are like mantras and another one are, they take part in all these to help God, in his leelas. Three types of Gopis, special type. Could it be like that? Gopis?
Yeah. Gopis are also part of this. Yes, those three types
you're talking about three types of Gopis. One are mantras or something, a highest form is, I think they will be in God's Golok. And second type, they come and help God in his leelas. And third one is maybe mantras or something. I remember like that.
Okay, we'll get into that. Yeah. So yes, the three types that you're talking about, we will touch upon that topic during our Madhurya Bhav discussion. So they are Sadharani Rati, Samartha Rati, and Samartha Rati. But there are two categories of souls, as we will see. I'll go through that. Do we have any other hand raised before I move forward?
We have Seema ji.
Yes, Seema ji.
Radhe Radhe. I think all the great souls that reside in the heavens, in the Golok with him, they all kind of are born in a group with different forms on the earth. Just like there are groups of souls that are born on the earth that become different relations to help one another. Right. That's why we like some souls more than the others, is because we have known them in previous lives as a group. Thank you.
Great point. Thank you, Seema ji. Wonderful. So let's
We
look
have
at.
Aarti ji. We'll just take her.
Sure, Aarti ji, please go ahead.
Go ahead, Aarti ji.
Radhe Radhe, ma'am. Radhe Radhe, everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
They are few times I've heard they are already approved by God as Siddha yogis, and they reside in His lok. So they are given the opportunity to be with the God in His leelas.
Yes, that's true. So let's look at that now. Great RPG. Then we can have a bit of a discussion after that. So let's look at it, the hierarchy, how it goes. So obviously we have Supreme God right at the top of this hierarchy. Now he has three powers: the Chitta Shakti, the Jiva Shakti, and the Maya Shakti. Now Chitta Shakti, there are, okay, we'll get into Chit. Swansh. Let's look at the Swansh part of it. Swa Ansh, which are his own Ansh. That is one aspect of that. And then the Jiva Shakti is further categorized into two: Maya Teeth Jeev and Maya Dhin or Maya Baddha Jeev. Okay. The words itself, we will get into those as well. So let's first look at the complete chart. Now, Swansh are Swa Ansh, which are all dissensions of God. They govern Yogamaya. They govern means Yogamaya is governed by them. Like Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar as well. Now, Brahma is could be a Jivatma as well. But then there are times, and then because of the work that Jivatma does, they get the post, they complete their God realization. Sometimes when we don't get God doesn't get a eligible soul for the seat of Brahma, then God himself becomes Brahma as well. So in those cases, Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar are called Swansh of God. Now Maya Teeth Jeeves are beyond Maya, but they are governed by Yogamaya. Swansh govern Yogamaya, but the Maya Teeth Jeev, they are governed by Yogamaya. There's a little bit of difference there. However, they are beyond Maya always. Even though they are Jivatma, they are beyond Maya. And the second category is, needless to say, that is who we are. So the first category, Maya Teeth, are VIPs. And second category, Maya Dhin, Maya Bad, are WIPs. Okay, work in progress. Don't read it as VVIPs. Okay, it is actually WIP. So they are under Maya. They are not obligated to stay under Maya though. And they can get out of it through sadhan bhakti that we spoke about. Okay. So the first category, left hand side are VIPs and the right hand side is WIPs, work in progress. Furthermore, Mayatit Jeev are also further classified as Parikar or Parshad that we spoke about. They are eternally liberated and participate in God's Leelas. They are friends of Krishna, right? All those Madhu Mangal and all, Nand Baba, Yashoda Maya, etc. And for that matter, Kekai as well. And there was only one Kekai in Treta, and after that, nobody named their daughter Kekai. But they are actually eternally liberated souls who come and take upon that the seva of becoming the villain to glorify. And if Kekai was not there, would we have seen those 14 years exile of Ram, where all the learnings of the beautiful story of Ramayana came? No. She was instrumental in doing that. Does anybody talk about Ram Rajya and all those things on a Ramayana ends, where all the 14-year exile story ends and Ravan is killed and it's ended? So if Kekai was not there, it wouldn't have happened. And she was, so they are eternally liberated souls who come down with the purpose of glorifying God and be become an instrument as part of his Leela that is going to unfold in that particular avatar. So Parikar or Parshad is one category. Then Nitya Siddh Jeev. Then Jeevatma also has Nitya Siddh. We are already liberated souls. Even though they are Jeevatma, technically they are not Swansh, but they are Nitya Siddh, means they are always been beyond Maya, which are like Vedic hymns, Richas of Vedas. Richas of Vedas, like when you have Sam Ved, Rig Ved, these Vedas, they have an impersonal form, as you can see, and they have a personal form also. In fact, it is said when Sri Maharajji was writing Bhakti Shatak, he would converse with these Vedic Richas. Like, okay, because he was going to put Sagar into Gagar. So he was actually getting Vedic Rijas were coming and actually revealing the knowledge that they had. So to put in that, so Vedic Rijas, they are also Nitya Siddh. They are not like us who worked their way towards becoming Siddh. They were always Siddh. And the third category is Sadhan Siddh Jeev. That is the aspirational goal for us. For example, Tulsidas, Mirabai, etc. So this is how the hierarchy goes. So if you look at it, we are a Jiva Shakti part of God. We are not Chitta Shakti. We are Jiva Shakti part of God. And then the Maya Shakti is anyway there. Within Jiva Shakti, we are part of Maya Badh or Maya Dhin. God is Maya Dhish. We are Maya Dhin. There is a difference between us and God in that sense as well. He's the master of Maya. We have been serving Maya. And we have been under the spell of Maya. We have to work our way towards conquering Maya. And then within that, we are part of sadhans. We are not sadhan siddh yet, but that is our aspirational goal. Sadhan siddh means once we do sadhan bhakti and it is complemented with God's grace, then we start getting into all the bhavs that we are discussing. Right? All those bhavs will get into 9 categories of bhav, and then which ends at prema bhakti, and from prema bhakti starts the rasas or the different gradations of bhakti bhavs as we see. All right, any questions, remarks now? I know 15 minutes, I think it will give us good amount of time for discussion and you can make any announcements. Amritavani ji, before that, today I've just kept it open-ended. Any questions on today's discussion topic, and we'll try to wrap it up on time today. So Amritavani ji, over to you for any announcements that you may want to make today.
Yes, Nitin ji, we do have some announcements. If you could stop share screening, or I will do it later once
no,
we
no,
have...
you can actually start sharing, and what will happen is mine will automatically stop sharing, but I can stop share and you can...
Okay, I will do that, yeah.
Let's do that. And then you can put the feedback tracker as well in the meantime, so that everybody can... Let's
so
get
I think you guys can see, everyone can see this. So we do have Bhishmika Dashi celebrations. That's on Saturday, 12th from 7 p.m. CST. It's there in person as well as virtual. And then the Gopi Prem Divas celebrations, that should not be missed. So please do make sure that you have registered. I'll post the links there. We have Tyagaraja Aradhan. That's on Saturday 19th, Sunday the 20th. And Women's Day celebrations, March 5th to March 8th. So these are the upcoming events. I will post all the links in the chat now, as well as the attendance tracker.
Wonderful. All right, so let's hear from participants if they have anything, remarks, or I'll pose a question, because when I pose a question, it stimulates discussion even more. Why would Yashoda Maiya not get a seat in Maharashtra? Would anybody know that? Now, let's not understand these relationships as how we look at material relationships. But then there's a reason why she wouldn't get that seat, despite being at the top of Anurag Bhakti. Okay, maybe you can take a question, or if anybody has any question on what we have discussed today.
Yeah, Shyamji, please go ahead. I see your hand raised.
Shyamji, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, with Bhai.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, I have a question that people who are with souls who are with Krishna or God in their past times, why can't we, those people like us, can't we be Mayatit?
Yes.
And maybe in one of our forms, earlier lives, who knows, any of us was there, could be there, would be there. Is it possible?
It's good question. Yes, I should have touched upon that. So yes, 2 categories of people. One is the Parikar or Parishad, which are eternally liberated. They come. And second category of people who are part of God's Leela are the ones who have reached the tipping point of their devotion. So they get an opportunity to participate in those Leelas as well. So yes, you could be part of that as well. If you are almost there, then maybe with an avatar, then after that you can join him in his abode to perfect that, or maybe do a dry run kind of a deal, okay, in his Leela, like they call it in IT parlance. But yes, a Jeev can be there as well. In fact, I'd asked this question to Swamiji. He told me, yes, even the souls who are kind of almost there, they can also get a chance in his Leelas when he takes avatar.
So maybe you or me or any of us could be
Possible,
there.
yeah. I don't know if I have the eligibility, but Shyamji, definitely for you, I can. If I were to put my money, I can put for that. I'll not put money for
It's still
myself.
a thought. It's a thought. Well, I don't know how it came out. Just thought came across my mind. Let me clarify things with you.
Yes, it is possible. In fact,
Possible, no?
this is the sentiments we need to have and confidence that yes, we can make it too. We can make it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you said, Sudama, she was Vatsalya Bhav. No? She could not. She was seeing Krishna as her own child. Maybe that's why she could not go to the next level, Madhurya Bhav. Was that so? Or
But
is
it's a
some other
choice.
reason?
It's a choice, right? I mean, you get you settle for a bhav and you want to be like that. That is not a small bliss, right? And that is a bhav that comes to you naturally. I mean, you more than happy with that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting topic. Let's build on that. But I can see a few hands. Let's hear from them.
Sorry, but do bhavs change also with passes of time, or do they remain the same sort of life?
They can change with Guru's grace. They can change for sure. Like other day, the Pragyadi was saying, right? She started off with Vatsalya Bhav and didn't realize when it turned into Madhurya Bhav. It can happen for sure. When you are ready for it, it can happen. Any bhav you can transcend bhavs for sure. The beauty of progressing to the higher bhav is that you can always step back, step into a bhav which comes underneath it. Like for example, if you're in a Vatsalya bhav, you can treat it like a kid, you can treat him like a master, you can treat it like a king. But when you treat him like a king, you cannot all of a sudden treat him like a child. So from lower to higher, it becomes difficult, but from higher to lower, automatically is covered.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aarti ji, you can go ahead. Radhe Radhe, Aarti ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, everyone, ma'am.
Radhe Radhe.
Nitin ji, I wanted to ask, like in every Hindi verse, there is written 5618, the counting of the numbers. So it is from which book? Like,
okay, it is Maharajji's Gopi Geet. I can send you the reference for that. He's actually written that Gopi Geet. If you have subscribed to JKO Radio, you can listen to it every day. It's a beautiful Geet. Like the profound philosophy or scriptures is packed into that one Geet. And that is from Gopi. I can actually share maybe the link for that. I'll try to find that. Yeah, please go ahead.
One thing I've heard from some spiritual discourse, that mother is a mother, and she always wishes for the good of the child. Even Kakai, she has took upon all the blame on herself, and she took the kalank of being that. But actually, through astrology or through her own, previous siddhis and yog, that she understood that whosoever will sit on, Singhasan, whether it is Bharat or Sri Ram, whosoever will sit there for 14 months, there is the fate is that that particular person will not survive. So for the good of both of them, she took all the blame on herself. And that was also one of the, too many times I've heard here in the spiritual discourses in India that she took the blame. ऐसा कुछ किया जाए कि ना भरत बैठे ना राम 14 वर्ष तक, क्योंकि मतलब कि एस्ट्रोलॉजी के थ्रू ये उनको ये कि वो मृत्यु को प्राप्त होंगे, इस तरह का उन्होंने मतलब ये था, तो इसीलिए उन्होंने ऐसा कुछ रचना को जगह दिया कि
हो सकता है, that is quite possible, but then the bottom line here is it's part of the Leela and they choose to take upon that Leela. Baki, God has a way to have that perfect algorithm, right? Even if it's part of Prarabdha and all, he'll make sure all the jigsaw puzzle, it falls into pieces during that Leela itself. So yeah, we don't need to dwell too much into. The key thing here to understand is that they are souls who have taken upon a role. They're not ordinary souls. When we think about it, they are not ordinary souls who participate in God's Leela, and they come to fulfill that particular Leela. And it's a privilege actually to be part of those Leelas. For us, the key thing to understand here is that we have to go to the sadhan siddh stage like Mirabai, Tulsidas, and a lot of people have attained. If one can attain it, others can attain it as well. And we need to work towards it, because we are neither Mayatit nor Swanch. If you look at the categories that we have, and Maya, we know it's a Jad Shakti of God anyway. So that is the key concept here. Yes, Annapurna ji, you had something?
Yes, there is a question. Where does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fall? Which category?
Swanch. So yesterday I spoke about Ashtasattvic Bhav. So let me go a little deeper into that today, because you've asked this question. Ashtasattvic Bhav, how many can actually manifest in somebody simultaneously? It can vary from 1 to 8, right? Pure mathematics, 1 to 8. And the only person in which they can manifest all 8 simultaneously has to be God himself. Nobody else can take it. And that is last it was seen, it is said, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and more recently in Sri Maharaj Ji as well. And it is said they are both the dissensions, Swanch of God, and there will be a third day dissension as well. Now that question has come up. Okay, I don't know how far it is true. That's what I've heard. But those Ashtasattvic Bhavs do not manifest, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually manifested those when he came 500 years ago. I hope that answers your question.
How did Krishna pick Yashoda as his mother? What was her devotion like to God?
So if you look at it, Yashoda Maiya is in the Nitya Siddh category. Now, if we say we want a seat of Yashoda Maiya, it is possible. But we'll have to perfect that devotion in Vatsalya Bhav for Lord Krishna. You know, that with no trace of selfishness whatsoever. If we worship God with the Vatsalya Bhav, let's say you sit in meditation and do Rup Dhyan, that you are doing it's like a baby, you are feeding them, whatever, right? Like we do with babies. And your sadhan bhakti starts becoming paripakva, or starts fructifying, then grace of God would intervene, and then it will take it to the next level, and then possibly you can get that seat as well. So this is the process. If we want to become like Yashoda Maiya, or become Yashoda Maiya in one of his avatars. God is a frequent traveler. He doesn't need a visa. As we speak, it is quite possible that Ram avatar is taking place in one of the universes, and it is quite possible that Lord Krishna is reciting Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, or whoever, whatever that Mahabharata is going on, to that message. So God is not idle even for a second. He is present within us. He's present in every atom, and at the same time, he could be taking an avatar, multiple avatars as well as we speak. And in those avatars, if we have to get an eligibility in one of those avatars, we have to perfect our devotion in one of these bhavs that we are talking about. Then we'll get an eligibility, and then we are a done deal, and no stress management courses are needed, no worry from COVID, and nothing whatsoever. We are a done deal at that point.
Oh,
Yes.
Artiji is asking, can the first 2 stages be summed up?
First 2 stages, yeah. So first stage was the Shant Bhav, where you worship God as a king from distance. So just imagine as if you look at a king. Forget about king, like it's like you adore a prime minister. Like I see a lot of people, they adore presidents and prime ministers also. So if you see them from a distance, you idolize them and you worship them, that becomes a king subject relationship. That is Shant Bhav. The Dasya Bhav is where you have more proximity to God, where you can wash his feet, you can come to his room, do his personal service like Hanumanji would do. That is called Dasya Bhav. And Sakha Bhav was like Krishna, Arjun, Sudama, and that is what we had discussed. And Vatsalya Bhav anyway we have discussed today. So I hope that was a quick synopsis summary that is helpful.
Could you please repeat the second person under Swanch?
The second person under Swanch, Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar.
Why Lakshmi ji cannot go to Vrindavan?
Lakshmi ji is under Samanjasya Rati category. Okay, she loves Lord Krishna, 50% for him, 50% for her own sake. She's not devoid of complete selfishness. Even in the wild realm, there are levels. So it's 50-50. That is why she cannot. You have to be completely devoid of selfish trace. That's when you get that seed. So Lakshmi ji, Rukmini, they cannot. That is reserved only for those gopis who are completely selfless. So there are three categories. One is who love Krishna for their own sake, Sadharani Rati, like Kubja. So that is why I say when you do bhakti, okay, let's get a little deeper. Okay, we'll not take more time though. How much time do we have? 10 o'clock. 5 more minutes, not more than that. 2 more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. When we do bhakti, if you are doing bhakti, continue sirf only bhakti, then you will develop the sanskars of Kubja. Okay, Kubja means for your own sake. You are loving God. When you do seva, that's when you will develop the sanskars of Gopi. It's like about giving for your sake. That's sukh sukhitvam. So even in this, first step is obviously doing sadhana, but seva takes you even higher and further, because that will develop the sanskars of selflessness and giving. That is what it says. So even in that, do we want to become Kubja? Do we want to become like Rukmini, or do we want to become that? Those things are there as well. So with knowledge, we can actually take ourselves to another level. We'll take one minute each, and then 10-5 we do that.
Sure. Rahul ji, you didn't get a chance today, so please go ahead.
Yes, Rahul ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji.
Radhe
Since
Radhe.
we're talking about Swanch, I remember Kripaluji Maharaj had mentioned in one of his discourses about Vibhinanj. So are these Maya Dhin category coming under that Vibhinanj?
Yes, Vibhinanj, very true. Swanch and Vibhinanj. Maybe I can put another view from Vibhinanj perspective that will clarify it more. But yes, you are right.
Thank you, Rahul ji.
Anything other than Swanch is Vibhinanj, basically.
Venkat ji, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe. Sir, then I asked the second question about the second person. First one you said like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The second person you mentioned some name, I missed it, sir.
Kripaluji Maharaj.
Okay, thank you so much.
It is said those bhavs manifested in him. He was the second person.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you, ji.
Attendance tracker, please fill it out if you get a chance. I like to hear your feedback just so that I get a sense of how sessions are going and what I can do differently. Also, the fact that I brought up Sudama's story and all is because some of you actually mentioned that Sugriv and all that stuff, and that is why I thought I can. So that is an opportunity for you to put in something that you would like to hear more of, and also provide your feedback. So please do take out time for that. Yes, Annapurna ji, real quick, and then I think this is the last one for the day.
I think that, Madhurya Bhav is considered as highest because, for example, Dasya Bhav, if you take Shanti Bhav, king can have so many subjects, or whole his, everybody under his authority, they are all subjects. And then when it comes to Sakya Bhav, you can have many friends. And then when it comes to Dasya Bhav, you can have many servants like that. But when Madhurya Bhav, beloved is one and the only one, I think that may be the thing. Vatsalya Bhav, you can have many more kids. Mother is same to all kids. So I was imagining that could be the one, that why Gopis are rated high, because Krishna was the one and the only one for them.
True.
Right? If you view, beloved is always only one, highest love that you give is for beloved. There cannot be many more beloveds, only one and the only one. That's why I think Madhurya Bhav is rated high.
Very true. And within Madhurya Bhav also there are different levels. Okay, there is no dearth of variety in God's realm. Okay, so your mind will be blown away when we talk about Madhurya Bhav. What are the different possibilities of even within Madhurya Bhav, the topmost Bhav that we are talking about, and what is the topmost seat for a Jivatma with regards to what are the possibilities. So we'll get into that next week. Okay, it's a very deeper philosophy by Maharajji, so we'll definitely get into that. All right, I know we are on time now, so wonderful. Now, yes.
A quick reminder, we do not have tomorrow evening sessions, book club and daily wisdom because of Sanskriti that's going on in the temple. And Artiji is asking if you can send the, if you can send the Geet of Kripalu Maharajji's.
I would send out a link. I'll find that so that you can refer to it. And great, wonderful. I'll do that.
Yeah.
All right, we can do our closing prayers then.
Yeah. Samji, if you can be real quick.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I know tomorrow we do not have any Gita session, but as a side note, what about the SOMM, like the Science of Mind Management, Ajay's class? Any idea about that? Anybody knows it?
No, that is also not there. It's not there. Book
Tomorrow
club. We
sessions
do
are-
not have.
we have
Tomorrow
some-
evening sessions, book club and daily wisdom. Both the sessions we do not have.
It's too far away anyway, Sunday morning. Too far away, it doesn't matter. Sunday morning at 7 o'clock normally, and 8 o'clock normally they have it, Ajay's class, 7 laws of divine success.
Yes. That will be there.
That will be there. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Closing prayers.
We can do the closing prayers. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everybody. Radhe Radhe. Have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Radhe
Thank
Radhe.
you, everyone.
Stay
Radhe
safe.
Radhe.
Be blessed. Radhe Radhe.
Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everyone. See you all on Monday.
See you all.
Please do join for the satsang, Sunday satsang, Gopi Prem Divas celebrations, please.